maybe AI will save us in filtering out the noise so that we can get to the facts. But we really need companies to continue making things better. We need good policy, and we need good leaders who aren't going to be as corrupt as some of the ones that we've had or currently have.
True. Very true. Now, here's a question. Do you believe that AI will help us filter, or do you think it will add to the chaos? Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the What the Nell podcast, the EcoPreneur's Edge edition, spicy season 4 with myself, Nell, and my co-host, Mikey Bentz. Mikey, welcome back to the pod.
Oh, thanks, Nell, for having me. We have just been at Scoville Unit 10 million.
Should we rename it Scoville 10 million? Like, is that what the name of the season is?
No, I love the spicy season, or Spicin' for.
Spicin'. We need to have like an avatar. Spicin', the avatar.
Yes. I love this. So what are we talking about today on the EcoPreneur's Edge?
Mikey, we are getting into a little bit of government corruption. Because we all know, no matter how you feel about things, there's corruption.
I love this topic now because it is exactly the topic that got me into eco-friendly sustainability, that got me into running my business or businesses how I did. And I'm ready. For those who don't know me, I'm Mikey with 2 E's. The 2 E's stand for the environment and everyone, the two things that I care about most. The environment is always going to be number one in my 2 E's, because if we don't have an environment, there's nowhere for everyone to live. There's nowhere for everyone to eat or raise a family or argue about politics or any of the fun things that we do. So my segue into, sustainability at large is I learned what was being done from times before I was born to young adulthood, and I learned about this in adulthood, to our food and product supply, and it just was unacceptable to me.
Food, I mean, we've talked about this so many times, and this is also a subject that's near and dear to my heart as well, which kind of, you sent me something recently that, should have been more surprising, but it wasn't. It was basically a snippet from an article about Campbell Soup's vice president. And I wasn't just caught saying Campbell Soups are for poor people and use bioengineered meat. He literally said it on a secret recording. The company is using 3D printed meat. This is a federal crime. It is illegal under U.S. federal law to sell, distribute, or label lab-grown meat in a way that misleads consumers about its origin or nature. This is just one small example of corruption.
And I do just want to preface that, I have not seen a bibliography for that specific article or posting. So the point remains valid that we need to be following the laws and regulations, hopefully putting in better regulations instead of worse regulations. But obviously, I think I sent that to you on your birthday, Nell.
You did.
Government corruption was your gift wrapped up in a bow.
Just what I've always wanted.
But, and it's not only government. There's corruption, absolute power corrupts absolutely. And so a company like Campbell's may or may not be doing what this alleges. So disclaimer, don't sue us for slander if it's not true. But the conversation needs to be had.
Yes.
Of what are we putting in and on our bodies? Who is making the policy? Who do we want making the policy? And then who is holding accountable the companies that are getting bigger and bigger every day? Like, if you allegedly are a company big enough that in secret recordings you can say our product is for poor people and they don't need to know whether we're bioengineering our food or not, that just to me across the board is a no-no.
Right. Yeah. For sure. And it's funny you mention, who are the people putting these regulations in place. And we also had a conversation about how, interestingly enough, there were certain amounts of political positions held by members of a certain conglomerate by the name of Monsanto, whom those listeners that or viewers that are familiar with that organization is responsible for a lot of corruption in our agricultural industries and in food in general. And there's just a lot of connectivity between a lot of these platforms and organizations. So, I'm of mind that everyone deserves to know what is being put in our bodies, and we've had an entire episode on greenwashing, labeling, and things like that. That's always going to exist in marketing and misleading and things like that. But here's the thing: we have to be educated. We have to be educated on these topics. And the fact, when you sent me that article about the Campbell's thing, and, I read it, and like I said, I didn't want to be surprised, but I wasn't. I know I've had some experience in the food industry, so I may know slightly more than the average consumer does. And I have to think that the average consumer doesn't know. To me, I'm like, well, yeah, Campbell's is putting, probably, I don't know for sure, allegedly putting bioengineered things into their products because that's what happens in big food. So to me, that's not a shock. I don't want that hidden from me, but what company wants to put that out there? And it's a whole roundabout thing, but, gosh, this is such a big topic to unpack.
It really is too. And I think that if I was choosing a technology in my own business, like when we recorded the season opener and I had all my products laid out on the table, if I'm going to use something, I'm going to shout it from the rooftops.
Yes.
That this is what I'm using and this is why I'm using it. So if I was a company scaled to mega, and I wanted to utilize this technology, I would be like, hey, these are my reasons. These are the ethics behind it. This is why I think it's a great choice. And here I'm going to be transparent that this is what is going in this batch of products versus this batch of products that you know and love. Then we can pivot to the rules and regulations of this, who made laws that made this company executive feel that they needed to say things like this behind closed doors.
Right.
And I am a huge fan, champion of, and advocate for, like, common sense public health regulations. I think that it's good that we don't pollute river water. I think that it's good we don't inject, TMI is in our backyard, nuclear radiation into our forests and water supply. I think that it's good that we do have, now more than ever, a lot of good labeling. And I think that it's good, way back in the day, even older than we are now, when unions were a thing that had a true purpose in our communities, because there's no way to know what we don't know. And
Right.
so as things start getting bad, people should have an outlet like OSHA, like the FDA, like the EPA, to make people aware of, and then have those people correct the problems. That I never worked in a coal mine. I wouldn't know that, there was horrendous working conditions. I didn't work on an assembly line. I didn't know that a 5-day work week would be better than just come to work every single day and work 18 hours. So champion your technology, champion your products, make good laws, and then when you're voting for people who are making the laws and holding people accountable by whatever government, enforcement arm they're using. Make sure that they're not former President Obama appointing Monsanto people to FDA board member positions. So it's this trifecta of the company's a little wrong, the policy's a little wrong, and then the government is a little wrong.
Yeah, and this isn't, look, the government is operates the same way that humans operate because the government's made up of humans, at least at this moment. Just because, if I go out and start a business today, it might fail by, a year from now. So it's proof that when we go out and we start things and we put policies into place, things have to change and things have to pivot, and not everything is a success on its first try. We understand that. There are things that have to happen as time evolves. Look, I can appreciate that these committees and boards and policies have come from good places. Something happened where it was seen then that we need to have some type of policy in place because clearly we can't be trusted to handle things ourselves. So we had to have something be in place to prevent this from happening again. And now, when that happened, life happens, things evolve, technology changes, we as humans evolved, and we need to change those policies and departments along with the life evolutions. So it's when we're using outdated technology or outdated thinking about how to handle something is what really trips me up. I don't know if that makes any sense.
No, it does. And I definitely I understand why things stay around longer than they do. Like for me personally, as a cosmetologist and cosmetology salon owner, unions have no place in my industry.
Sure.
Because most of my industry is either independently contracted, sole proprietors, or owners. You have to be an employee to have an effective union. There aren't enough hairdressers who are employees anymore to have a hairdressers union.
Right.
So while I understand that there was a time and place where unions were the leaders in many industries, all of that has changed. And are there still effective unions? Absolutely. Have their political leanings changed? Yes. Follow the money. That's going to be our tagline for this
totally
season.
Is.
Follow the money. But the companies are going to continue to change because I think capitalism is beautiful and the market drives supply and demand. I think that there is a huge place for effective government leaders to write new or change existing laws, regulations, and policy. But we had places where things like unions or things like the press, meet William Randolph Hearst, broke a lot of good stories that helped people and went on to do a lot of not so great things after. But now things have changed where there's so much information, we almost don't know who to trust. Or let's talk about other government corruption. Watergate.
Watergate. I haven't heard that term in so long.
That's one of the biggest, political corruption scandals. And then we also had, the impeachment of Bill Clinton.
Oh my gosh.
I did not have relations.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman. Is that what he said?
Yeah, which then, in modern times would lead us into the Epstein files.
Oh my gosh.
And, going back to, again, government corruption, just the best indicator for me is Monsanto. I will always come back because I mentioned former President Barack Obama, former President George H.W. Bush was also instrumental in making the technology of genetically modified foods popular. He went on a tour in Monsanto's laboratory and was like, "This is great. We need to champion this." This was like the year I was born.
Yeah.
And so all of these different people from different times and different political affiliations have done the same thing, which is government corruption.
Yeah.
And I think we need to be mindful that that can exist. I think when we hear what a red herring, something's going on over here, we need to pay attention to what's going on over here. And we need to, and I don't know how, maybe AI will save us in filtering out the noise so that we can get to the facts. But we really need companies to continue making things better. We need good policy, and we need good leaders who aren't going to be as corrupt as some of the ones that we've had or currently have.
True. Very true. Now, here's a question. Do you believe that AI will help us filter, or do you think it will add to the chaos?
I think if people want to know, they will know. I think people like you and I would be horrendously mortified to eat unknown, unlabeled, bioengineered, 3D printed meat in our soups. I feel like there are people out there who might just not care one way or another. So
there definitely are.
I'm hoping one day people like you and I will have tools that can help us filter out the nonsense, because there's more nonsense than ever now. So we need more filters now than ever.
Yeah, that's very true. I personally know of someone that does not care whatsoever. And they have their reasons, as I have my reasons for caring. Now, I'm also, I'm not oblivious to the fact that we can feed all of society and the planet with organically grown produce and grass-fed beef. Like, that's just not realistic. However, I do believe that we need to find a way to make food healthy for everyone. That's not going to kill us to feed the agenda of supplementing the healthcare industry. That's a big one for me. I'm willing to say that, I believe that big food and big pharma are in bed together. I 100% agree with that ideology.
I just need to interject right there, because can we also agree that big food and big pharma are in bed with the government as well?
Oh, yeah.
I shared something not too long ago. Pfizer, I think, has been in business for 148 years, and they've never cured one disease.
I saw that too. I was like,
So it makes me wonder, like, if you're a company and you're failing, how are you in business 140 plus years later?
I mean, Mikey, I really thought that meteorology was the only industry that you could be in and be wrong 100% of your time and still keep your job.
Welcome to pharmaceuticals.
That's going to make a great reel cut right there. No, I mean, it's so like the whole thing. So in my mind, this is how it works. We buy a food product at the grocery store, and we consume it for many years, and we start to develop health problems. Now, keep in mind, this is a very short synopsis of what happens in my head. We consume this product for many years. We consume more products just like it. And then all of a sudden we have health concerns and health issues that maybe or maybe not could have been avoided. We go to the doctor. The doctor tells us that we have something that we need a pill for. And now we have a prescription, and that doesn't work. So we need to be on more pills. And then all of a sudden, we are now in the system. We don't feel like humans anymore because we're not. We're basically operating on some medication that was developed to keep you inside the system, such as, in the food as well. This is what keeps you in there. And if they find a cure, Mikey, they can't keep you in there and make money. And that is why Pfizer has not cured anything. Do I believe that there are certain things that happen in our lives that we cannot control with food? Yes, of course. Are there certain medications that help people that have nothing to do with what I'm talking about? Yes. We've done a really great job at masking pain. We've done a really great job at that. I'll leave that one alone for right now. But this is the cycle that plays in my head, and government is behind a really large portion of it.
Yes, 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 and yes. And I don't know that I ever told the story about the one medication that I'm actually on. So remind me. But when it comes to the cycle of company, government, regulatory policy, and keeping us sick and keeping us unhealthy, I don't know that necessarily most people in any of those industries, just like we talked about in political sustainability, I think that they're just waking up and trying to do good. Mm-hmm. Now, there are people, at the top who see the paths maybe differently, that are more aware of things like you and I, but like the average person isn't gonna I'm gonna go to the doctor and tell them my problems, and my doctor is gonna try to kill me. That to me doesn't make a lot of sense.
Right.
The interconnectedness of it does, and that's why I think that it would still just tickle me to have RFK Jr. on our podcast.
I know.
Because while I don't agree with everything he's ever said, I probably won't agree with a lot of the things he'll say now and in the future, he got the conversation started and super public, maybe not even popular, but make America healthy again. And I will always be Team Maha, and I think that it's good to study links between vaccines and autism. I think it's good to remove artificial dyes and preservatives and flavors from our food. I think that I think that it's good to have students in school doing fitness challenges again. Yes, it was horrendous and embarrassing, but it really gave me a good foundation now to be one of the healthiest, most athletic people that I know.
Sure.
And so I will always have respect for him for making popular the topic of, these things could be corrupt, done by companies, policy, government. Let's talk about them.
Yeah, I do. I agree with that. Now, I do believe that health and food should be a nonpartisan issue. I've been following the Food Babe, and I know the Food Babe and RFK have had some collaboration together, in their teachings. But I've been following the Food Babe for I don't even know how long. She was just like a blogger, I think, when I started following her. I personally started drinking raw milk in 2006, I want to say. I actually had a friend when I first moved up to Pennsylvania, because raw milk, at least it wasn't a thing in Maryland where I grew up, and I also didn't live near a farm, so I didn't even know about it. But I became very interested in food and so forth, probably in like 2004. So when I moved up here to Pennsylvania, where we had access to local farms, I became very interested in consuming food from those farms. So I had a friend that knew all of the best places to, get your chicken, get your beef and your milk and everything. And I started drinking raw milk. And back then it was just like, ew, you're not drinking pasteurized milk? Like, that's gross. What if you get sick? Like, those were the only questions. And now I've had a couple of people say to me, like, you drink raw milk? You must be MAGA. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Are you kidding me? Like, how did my consumption of raw milk go from, ew, that's just gross to me, like, no thanks, like, I don't want it, to, oh, you must be so conservative because you drink raw milk. So that's my issue with that.
I don't think we have enough time on any episode
I
to
100%
unpack
agree.
that.
We don't. But like this being an issue and a political issue to me is mind blowing because of what I choose to put in my body. Like this is absurd.
And look, Nell,
That's all
you
you can
got
say.
me.
That's all you can say.
Um, freedom and free will.
Yeah.
People have the power to choose what they're going to do. Because the divine, the creator, gave us free will, and here, at least in the U.S. for now, we have freedom to make our choices. So, no, you know what? No, I'm speechless. I would never go there, because of what somebody chose to like eat.
I actually had over one of my conversations having to do with this ended a really good friendship over it. And that's unfortunate. And we talked about in our last episode, making sure that political sustainability is all about maintaining your relationships and communication and health of that, even though we all may have different opinions. Unfortunately, this was a sticking point for someone that I knew, unfortunately. And didn't work out. It was really disappointing. But, that's just an indication of where we are in society, and having issues that weren't necessarily political before have become that now. And I believe that's also part of government corruption. Man, I really feel like we could go so much further on this topic, Mikey. Maybe we have to do a part 2.
Look, I love part 2s, so I'm always open to, discussing anything that we've already discussed further. And even we talked about how a lot of the lifetime corruption has snuck into government. We didn't talk a lot about current day. Like I know I touched on the Epstein files, but there's corruption happening on all sides from so many different industries, and their interconnectedness with our government. Like
For
we
sure.
could probably do 4 more
Oh my
episodes
gosh,
on it.
we could for sure. And the Epstein files, my goodness. I mean, what a distraction. Like you said earlier, while we're being forced to look over there, let's look over here now. Okay.
One thing that I will just bring up is I believe there was regulation pushed through to use forever chemicals as pesticides in our agricultural
Like PFAS
industry.
and
So I don't know if it's glyphosate round 1000, because the iterations of that is over and over and over again we have to save the
Staggering.
bumblebees. But that was just the most recent thing that I've heard, and no one's talking about it.
No one is talking about it. I didn't know that until you just brought it up.
So we're taking them out of our Teflon cookware, but we're putting them right on our food.
Yeah, I mean, well, it wasn't good enough, Mikey. It wasn't infiltrating our bodies enough in the cookware, so we have to add it to the food now.
And we also didn't talk about government corruption and the insurance industry, because a lot of the things that happened during the government shutdown, which was not so long ago when we're recording this,
There's
really
so much.
brought to light how much money congressional professionals were making, and people who were tied in the private sector and the stock market. When it comes to our failing healthcare and insurance system. And
some of the congressmen and women that chose to forego their salary during the shutdown, and those that didn't. Yeah, there's a lot here, Mikey. Who are we to think that we could stuff all of this into one episode?
I don't know. We'll have to do a minute blurb in each upcoming episode of what government corruption happened today.
I love it. We could call it Corruption Corner.
I love it. Okay, add it. Check, done.
Check. All right.
Moving forward.
Oh my gosh, Mikey, thank you so much, as always, for being an amazing co-host. I can't wait to discuss more of these topics with you this season.
Yes, on Spicy Season 4. And
that's right.
I want to know I would want to know from our viewers and listeners, are we being spicy enough? Can somebody recommend spicier topics that we could talk about?
Yeah, please do. So if you're still listening or watching, leave comments, send us an email, get in touch with us, follow us on social media, all the places. We want to know, are we spicy enough? What spicy topics would you like to see covered? So thank you so much again, Mikey. Thank you to all of you watching on YouTube. If you are here, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the video with a friend. If you are listening on your favorite audio platform, please leave us a review. That is how we grow here at the What the Nell podcast, the EcoPreneur's Edge edition. Thank you all so much. We'll catch you on the next one.